Goblin launch detected.
Hey gang, using the promo code MTGMudsta, one word, all caps, will get you 10% off orders of $10 or more at Flipside Gaming, Original Magic Art, and orders of singles at Multizone. If they don't have what you're looking for, you could check out TCG Player and use my affiliate link to help support the channel. Looking for a way to bling out your deck and not spend a fortune? Alter Sleaze can help with that, and you can help with the channel at the same time by using my affiliate link. Or, if you're looking to join the Goblin Gang, you can always support me through Patreon. Hey gang, and welcome back. We're joined again by those daring and dashing Danes, and once more, I've forgotten to record opening hands. So, without wasting any more time, let's get into it as Sander wins the die roll. Sander plays an Arid Mesa, sacrificing it and losing 1 to find a land. Adam plays a Savannah, and he casts Fyndhorn Elves. Jesper drops an Exotic Orchard and casts a Basilisk Collar. I play a Snow-Covered Forest, and play a Jiraga Treespeaker. Sander's turn has him playing a Mountain, and he casts 3 Visits. He passes as he goes to find a land. Adam plays a Plains, and casts Survival of the Fittest. Jesper draws, and casts a Skyshroud Elf, while Adam has activated his Survival, discarding a Regal Behemoth to go and find a creature. I play Snow-Covered Forest, and level up the Treespeaker. I then hit Adam for 1. Sander plays a Krosan Verge, which comes in tapped, and he brings out Ardenn in his main phase. Adam plays a tap Field of the Dead, and then casts a Priest of Titania, passing. Jesper plays a Mountain for turn, and then taps 1 of each color for Marath. It comes in with 3+1/+1 counters on it, and he then casts the Skyshroud Elf for 1 green, using it to cast Root Maze, reminding us all once again that while he may be a talented artist, in EDH he's a complete monster. I untap and draw. I play a Snow-Covered Forest and cast Cultivate to find even more Snow-Covered Forests. I realize I would have had to tap the Treespeaker for 1 mana since my land for turn should have come in tapped, and I do so before passing. Sander plays a tap Needle Spire, and while thinking about how to tap his mana to cast his Lightning Greaves, Adam uses Survival of the Fittest to discard a White Mane Lion to go and find a creature. The Greaves then come in, and Sander gears up Ardenn with them. The Greaves do come in tapped, which Sander catches, not that it makes any difference. And he then taps Ardenn to match her footwear as he goes at Adam for 2. In his second main phase, Sander then casts a Steel Shaper's Gift to go and find an artifact. Adam taps his Priest for mana to help cast a Runic Armasaur. He uses Survival again, discarding another creature to go and find one, grabbing a Sakura Tribe Elder. He casts it, and passes. Jesper plays a tap Naya Panorama, and then Drannith Magistrate. He's not done for turn, playing out an Oakham Adversary, and passing. I draw, and play a tap Thespian Stage, before casting a Crucible of Worlds, and passing turn. Sander draws for turn, and Jesper realizes something.
This is kind of awkward.
I think this is the first time in my life I actually played a Drannith Magistrate. It doesn't feel good.
Sander then casts an Anger in his main phase, followed by a Skull Clamp. He moves to combat, which has him resolving Ardenn's trigger, letting him attach the clamp onto Anger for free. He then swings Anger at Jesper, who doesn't block and takes the hit. At the end of turn, Adam sacrifices the Elder to go and find a basic. Adam draws, plays a tap Forest, and passes. Jesper untaps, draws, and goes to combat. The adversary goes at me, dealing 2 and drawing him a card as it connects. He plays an Oran Reef, which comes in tapped, and then equips Marath with Basilisk Collar and passes. I play Dark Depths as my land for turn, which is the perfect complement to my Thespian Stage. I then drop a Sylvan Library and pass. Sander taps 2 in his main phase to cast Rampant Growth and go and find a tap basic. He passes, and at the end of turn, Adam flashes out Alms Collector. Adam draws and taps his elves for a good chunk of mana to cast an Avenger of Zendikar. As it enters, he gets 5 plant tokens, and then passes to Jesper as he goes to find his tokens. At the end of turn, Jesper activates Marath to try and deal 1 to the runic Armasaur. This in turn triggers the Armasaur, letting Adam draw, and Jesper gains 1 life as a creature takes 1 and dies because of Marath's Death Touch. Jesper then removes another counter to the same ability from Marath, this time targeting the Avenger. Once that's on the stack, Adam casts Ephemerate to try and exile the Avenger, but responding to the response, Jesper removes the final counter from Marath to ping the Avenger, dealing 1 and killing it before the spell can resolve, and gaining 1 life. Jesper then untaps and draws for turn. We see an Archon of Emeria then join the party, because who wants to have fun in a game of Magic? He then goes to combat and hits me with the adversary. He draws from the adversary connecting after we check that the Collector only cares about someone drawing 2 or more cards. In his post-combat main phase, he pays 3 mana and 2 life, paying the Phyrexian mana cost with his precious health to cast a tapped Birthing Pod. At the end of turn, I use Nature's Claim to blow up Birthing Pod, gaining Jesper back some of his precious life. I then use the Thespian Stage and Dark Depths combo, having the stage become a copy of the Depths. I resolve the legendary rule, putting the Depths to my graveyard. The newly made stage copy then sees it has no counters on itself, which has it sacrificing itself, and makes me a 20/20 flying indestructible spaghetti monster. I untap and draw for turn. I replay the Thespian Stage from my yard tapped thanks to the Crucible, and go to combat. I swing the Merit Lage token at Jesper, who blocks with the Archon. I then pass, and Sander sacrifices his Verge to go and find a forest and a plains card to the field tapped. Sander draws and goes to combat as well. He swings Anger at Adam, who blocks with the Collector. Before moving to damage, Sander then casts the Response half to deal 5 to the Collector, since it's blocking. In his second main phase, we then see a Curse of Bloodletting hit the stack, and Sander targets Adam with it after Jesper promises to get rid of the Drannith Magistrate as soon as he can. Adam's upkeep has him not casting the Ephemerate, and he just draws for turn. He casts Zendikar Resurgent after tapping some elves, and his land's now tapped for 2, and he passes to Jesper. Jesper plays a tapped Terramorphic Expanse, which even considering how much pain he's inflicted on the table, is not something I'd wish on anyone. We realize at this point that the Drannith Magistrate has too much toughness to die to anything on the table, short of my tapped Merit Lage. He then recasts his commander, Marath, and moves to combat, swinging the adversary at me again for 2, and then drawing a card from it connecting, and passing. I use my library on my draw step, and take 4, keeping an extra card. I play a Wayward Swordtooth, and then play out a tapped Myriad Landscaped, followed by a tapped Snow-Covered Forest. I then go to combat, and Adam makes it clear that he has 2 cards in hand, one of which is Crop Rotation, but the other's an answer, he says. He warns me it'll be a waste of my attack step going after him, but I decide to call his bluff. He's got double mana and survival at this point, and I'm really worried, so I swing the Merit Lage token at him. Adam responds, casting Crop Rotation and sacrificing a land. Sadly, Maze of Ith won't work because it comes in tapped, and he dies. I then pass to Sander. Sander plays a Stonehewer Giant and gears it up with the Lightning Greaves. He activates it and goes to find an equipment. He puts out Sword of Feast and Famine and slaps it onto Ardenn. Sander then goes to combat and uses Ardenn's trigger to put the rest of the artifacts onto his commander, swinging her at Jesper. Jesper blocks the Drannith Magistrate finally, and it dies. Jesper draws and goes at me with the adversary once more. I block with a Swordtooth and they trade. In his second main phase, he cracks that Terramorphic Expanse to go and find a tap basic. He suggests that in a trade for blowing up the sword, I don't attack him, but I don't agree to it. Manglehorn then comes in anyway and blows it up. Marath then gets the Basilisk Collar once more, and he passes turn. I use my library again, but keep no spares. I then play a tap Snow-Covered Forest and tap 6 mana for Rishkar's Expertise. I'm happily surprised when it resolves, drawing 20 cards. I get to put out a Song of the Dryads and enchant Marath with it, turning Jesper's commander into a forest. Before the aura resolves though, Jesper pings my Tree Speaker to death and gains 1. I then cast a Zurin Orb in my main phase, which comes in tapped, and I move to combat. I then smack Sander for 20, and pass discarding down to 7. Sander's turn has him lamenting the loss of his Sword of Feast and Famine. He goes to combat, swinging Anger and the Stonehewer Giant at me, and once attackers are declared, activates the Stonehewer Giant. He goes into his library to grab an equipment card, and we see Batterskull hitting the field and attaching to the giant. They then connect, with him gaining 9 life while I take 11, and he passes turn. Jesper untaps and draws. He counts up some mana and taps enough to cast Beast Within on my Song of the Dryads. With his spell targeting the aura, I cast my own Beast Within and target Marath since I'm worried he's got some kind of combo in his hand with the commander. He gets a 3/3 beast while I get nothing after the spell's resolve. Jesper then puts out an Eternal Witness and returns to hand Birthing Bod. Moving to combat, he hits me with a Manglehorn. He passes, and at the end of turn, Sander really wants to know if I'm going to attack him with the token again. I'm still not sure, wanting to see how I draw, which isn't an answer he's okay with. He then asks for what lands are in my graveyard, and I show him quickly, and he then lets me move to my turn. I use my library and don't keep any extras. I cast Titania in my main phase and bring back a tapped Crystal Vein. I then cast Azusa and she resolves. I then play Nykthos and Command Beacon as 2 of my 3 lands for turn, and I go to combat. This time, I smack Jesper for 20 with the Merit Lage token, and Sander is happy with this. I can still play 1 more land for turn, and I drop a tapped Glacial Chasm on my second main phase, and sacrifice a land as it enters. This makes me a 5/3 Elemental token with Titania from seeing the land go to my yard, and I pass turn. At the end of turn, Sander casts Beast Within as well, giving this game the hat trick of them, and blows up my chasm since he wants to take me out on his turn. Sander untaps for turn, and thinks before drawing. While he's doing this, Jesper casts Eldamri's Call to go and find a creature card, stating he'll grab a Village Bellringer. Sander then casts Tana in his main phase and goes to combat. He uses Ardenn's trigger to attach everything to Tana, and swings her at me. He activates the Stonehewer Giant, and goes to find an equipment. He puts out an Embercleave, which he attaches to Tana. We then move to blocks, and I put my 2 elementals in front of her, which she kills on her first hit from Double Strike, and I take 2 spillover damage from Trample, with Sander gaining 8 life from Lifelink. This has him making 2 Saproly tokens, and he then does the second hit, dealing the full 8, gaining 8, and making 8 tokens. With nothing else, he passes. Jesper draws for turn and sees his chance. He casts the Village Bellringer, who upon entering, untaps his Skyshroud Elf, which he'll need untapped to help make him 3 red mana for, you guessed it, Kiki Jiki. With his infinite combo now assembled, we're unable to stop it, and he wins the game. Game review time. So I do think it was right to recognize that Adam was a threat when he had Survival of the Fittest and Zendikar were surging out, since double mana and finding whatever creature he needed, plus drawing a card from casting that creature, seemed like a really powerful interaction. Was this enough of a reason to take him out right then and there? Looking back on it now, I'm pretty uncertain at this point. I also think I made a mistake using my Beast Within on Marath, but I was really afraid that Jesper was about to go off in some kind of combo. I probably could have saved it and waited to see, just as Sander could have waited to see if he was able to kill me on his turn, and saved his Beast Within instead of blowing up my Glacial Chasm. At that point, I don't even fault Jesper for going for the combo. Shields were down and people had used their interaction. That's the great time to do it. Please be sure to tune in every Monday and Thursday at 11 AM Eastern Standard Time for a guaranteed new video. You can also follow me on Twitter at MTGMudsta. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/MTGMudsta. And lastly, you can check me out when I stream at twitch.tv/MTGMudsta. This video is brought to you in support by my patrons. If you're looking for a way to help out the channel, please be sure to visit the link below. Thank you all for watching this video, and don't forget, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.